are live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to another splendid episode of Blerd Roundtable, where Hi-Ho is busy doing some burlesque dancing, as is their wont, having a great time, earning that good cash flow. And I am here. I am one of your co-hosts, Amelia Psalm, with the beautiful Momo Scariot. And we've decided we're going to take these Saturdays, just kind of give a once-over on all of the things that have happened in the past week or so, all of the big updates in any nerd sort of pop culture industry. Keeper of the agenda. Where are we starting? Do we just dive right in? Do we want to ask people, how was your day, if you're in the chat?
You know what? I feel like we should just dive right in.
Okay.
Because I have the agenda today. The Keeper of the Agenda. I kind of like that title. We're going to keep that.
Yes.
So, starting with, just what's happening in the Blerd sphere. Not really the Blerd sphere, more like the nerd sphere. New in Marvel. Turns out the director of the first season of Loki is not returning. Kate Herron is not going to be returning for the second season. She's on to bigger and better things. That's what Kevin Feige has said.
Okay.
Feige or Feige?
I thought it was Feige. I think it's a hard G.
Feige. Sorry, Feige.
Yeah.
Has said. I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that the first season went how it did. There was obviously some creative differences among
certainly
the team.
happened between the director, the writers, and the composers.
Yes.
Which you never really hear about.
No one knew what the show was going to be about.
Yeah.
Like, at any point, I haven't seen.
Yeah, and I will say that it does seem like the director should make sure everyone's on the same page. Like, that's usually, like, a pretty big... I don't know a ton about how the film industry works, but, like, to me, you would think that that would be the job of the director to sort of direct things.
You would. But then it felt like everyone went rogue. Everyone went rogue.
It was
like 3 separate Lokis were all trying to make a show about Loki. And that's what we got.
Do we think that maybe because they destabilized the multiverse, the Time Variance Authority did not do what it was supposed to do to fix how the season of Loki turned out?
That is a very high possibility. That is what I'm going to go with, actually.
That is what I think.
That's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Canon.
I feel kind of bad for Tom Hiddleston, though, because, like, Loki's, like, his baby. And it's just, again, as we know, I am the biggest Loki stan that has been on this show, hands down. And I was really excited going into it. I was overlooking a lot of red flags in the first few episodes because I wanted it to be good so badly. And yet, we ended where it did.
We tried. I mean, like, we were there emotionally. I was on board. Episode 1, I was definitely on board. Episode 2, I was still on board. Lost me by episode 3, for being honest.
Honestly, it's doing the same thing that Falcon and the Winter Soldier did for me, where on board, episode 3, I'm like, oh, I don't know what direction you're going here, and then they didn't do well.
I did stick it out to the end for both shows, though.
Yeah.
Will I be watching season 2 of Loki? Yes.
Yeah.
We will be doing a show about it.
I mean,
if we weren't doing a show about it, I probably still would watch it anyway.
I mean, I'm here to watch everything Loki is in. Anything that has a Loki, I will be watching. So, yeah, I will be watching season 2. So, in the sense of Disney trying to make money off of it, I guess it worked, right? Because we watched the first season and we're watching the second season. Whether you hate watch or love watch something,
you're still watching.
We're still getting the clicks, yeah. So, I'm wondering what this means for the tone of season 2. Because, like, I don't know who they're getting to replace her. And
they are on the lookout. From what I do know, they are just on the lookout.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking, like, the thing that bothered me about Loki is that it made me, like, have to actively debate the logic and the ethics of clone fucking, but not in the way that I wanted to. You know? Like, we all know the BuzzFeed quiz. Can I ask you a kind of a weird question? That's the one about, like, would you fuck your clone? And it's just, like, bothers me that it wasn't even to me the fact that he was fucking his clone, but that he was like kissing his clone or a parallel universe version of himself, and they had no chemistry. Like, the same people would argue, they're basically different people, they're entirely different, and then they're like, but it's self-love because it's her, and I'm like, you can't have it both ways, which is the least sexy version of the would you fuck your clone argument. My opinion. We could have had better. So I'm just hoping that if they, dive into that romance in season 2, or the friends to lovers to enemies or whatever thing is going to go on between them, that it at least has some drama and it has a little bit more flavor and a little spice, and Mobius gets a jet ski. It's all I care about.
I feel like I should not have gotten you started on this.
We can switch the subject. What's next on the list?
No, you're going on a long rant, and I was like, oh god.
Would I if I had a male clone of me?
Your blood pressure.
Universal love. I'm a lesbian.
I'm sorry, I left directly into the mic.
What?
I laughed directly into the mic.
Oh, no,
Everyone just got an earful of that. Sorry.
Yeah, clone I needed for it to happen. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm fall into the I would because I have to know whether or not I'm good in bed. So. Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
If I had a nickel for every time I had to announce on a Twitch stream that I was a lesbian because someone wanted to pair me with a hypothetical male love interest, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's kind of funny it's happened twice.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to what I titled in the agenda as Spider-Man Cubed.
Yes.
There's now the debate going on again about who the best Spider-Man is. Who do you think is the best live-action Spider-Man, Amelia? I have not heard your take on this.
Oh yeah, I very rarely share any of my pop culture takes on TikTok, which is weird considering I'm mutuals with you and Deja and Ken, all of and Bobby, your entire channels are just sharing pop culture takes.
Exactly.
What'd you say? Sorry, it cut out.
I said exactly.
Yeah.
You are mutuals with all the people that talk about pop culture.
Fair. Okay, so I'm gonna preface this with I haven't read the Spider-Man comics. Okay, I'm not a huge comics person. I've read some comics here and there, but I haven't read the comics, so all I know is really what I've seen in Wikipedia articles and what I've gauged from Peter Parker's character. That being said, to me, the best Spider-Man, and this is not an indictment of acting abilities or quality of actor. Someone put all 3 of them next to each other and in a TikTok, and they were like, what if I told you that one of these guys was deemed too hot to play Spider-Man? And they all look exactly the same. They are all just white guy, brown hair. This is a very roundabout way of saying I'm in the Tobey Maguire camp. And here's why.
I am shocked.
I know.
I am absolutely shocked. Go ahead.
I know.
Expand on that. Elaborate on that.
I would love to elaborate. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for asking me. Also, universal love, you good. Here's the thing, is from what I understand Spider-Man to be, Tom Holland is good acting. He's good at playing the quirky little geeky boy, but his character and the story arc that Peter Parker has in the MCU just does not feel very friendly neighborhood Spider-Man to me. Andrew Garfield was just entirely forgettable as Spider-Man in my opinion, because every time I think of those movies, all I'm thinking of, you want to know what's going on up here, Momo? Guess which character I'm thinking of. You know in your heart.
Gwen Stacy.
No. Come on.
Really?
Think a little harder. You know me.
I'm double checking.
You know what type of character I gravitate towards.
But Venom wasn't.
No, it's not Venom.
I don't know. I don't know.
Norman Oswald. Little
No,
tiny green.
take it back.
You know.
Take it back.
You know, there's
Unsay that right now.
There's
Unsay
one thing I like in media all the time, and you know what it is. It is an angsty, greasy white boy. Not that I'm in love with him, but I just think they're neat. And I know this about myself.
I'm gonna end this stream right now.
You can't end the stream. I have the Streamlabs. I have the power.
I can leave the call.
Momo.
I will stay.
I have never in my life tried to pass myself off as something that I'm not. I am nothing if not consistent.
That's fair.
I am allowed to like my angsty, problematic white boys.
You are.
And
I will give that to you.
If they gave me that flavor of angsty, problematic in any package that wasn't a white boy, I would take it. But they only do it for white boys.
It's true. They do.
Which is why I just don't vibe with Andrew Garfield Spider-Man either. It's there. Okay. It's fine.
You know what? I do see, now that you have reminded me about your love for angsty, problematic white boys, I do see why you would prefer Tobey Maguire's Spidey.
Okay.
In my opinion.
This brings me back to why I like Tobey Maguire's Spidey. It's been a while since I've seen them. Look, as cringy as Spider-Man 3 was, thinking about that dance scene, it literally makes my muscles clench. The secondhand embarrassment is so bad. But the thing is, those are like, it's a fun romp. It's that fun kind of movie that you only get in the 2000s. It's camp.
That's what it is.
It is camp. And Spider-Man should be camp. Spider-Man, and I mean, okay, should be, obviously, it's my personal opinion. If people disagree, like, I don't really care. Not like the, I don't like you, but like, honestly, I have better things to worry about. As Khloe Kardashian said, people are dying, Kim. But, I think that I like the campiness of it all, and if you told me we had to have a Spider-Man movie marathon right now, and we wanted to have fun, which franchise are we picking? There's no reason to pick the Tom Holland one. I saw both of those movies once, and I'm good forever. Also, the fact that the second Tom Holland Spider-Man movie was just anti-union propaganda was wild to me,
Lord.
And weird, and it's not, and this is why I'm saying it's not like them as like, this isn't an indictment of Tom Holland's performance of Spider-Man, but like as a character situated in those narratives, I gotta give it to Tobey Maguire. It's camp, it's fun, it's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and all of the cringy parts aside, it's my favorite, like in that sense.
Okay.
Also,
personal opinion.
I do want to say also, you should have known it wasn't Gwen Stacy in Andrew Garfield because she's a blonde, not a redhead.
Okay, all right. Okay, in my personal opinion, out of all three of them, I cannot watch Tobey Maguire's Spidey because he makes me so physically uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I was in the same room as him, I would be like, I think I need to press the panic button. But if I was in a room with either one of the other Spideys, I'd be like completely fine. The reason why I can't pick Tom Holland's Spidey is because he's just Iron Man Jr. and I hate what the MCU has done to him in that respect. Like
100%.
Completely reliant on Iron Man. Cannot stand it. I hate it.
Awful, boring, bland,
So
flavorless, no taste, no salt, no garlic, no nothing.
By default, I do have to go with Andrew Garfield Spidey.
I can respect Andrew Garfield Spidey by default, specifically. I can respect that. Yeah.
I want to love Tom Holland. Like, you know what? Maybe if they could just give him his own movie and not have to, like, clump him with an adult to teach him how to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I would love his movies a lot more.
That's the thing that I kind of wish was explored. And from what I do know about Spider-Man's character is less of the, like, him not coming to power, but like high school Spider-Man who just learns he gets bit by a spider. We all know Uncle Ben. How many times must we watch Uncle Ben die? Truly.
They actually can't use Uncle Ben in Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Because Sony won't let them?
They have to license out all of the characters from Spider-Man through Sony, and it's literally just saving money to not license out a character you're never going to see on screen and only have to mention, but still have to pay to mention the name.
That's phenomenal.
So, like, it makes sense why he's not there. However, I still hate it. It doesn't make me like it any more or hate it any less.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, honestly, I think Spider-Man would have benefited from not the tone of the Netflix miniseries slash limited release, limited run series that they did with like Jessica Jones and Daredevil, but like the thing I really appreciated about those series specifically was that they were all contained. Like they're like, this is just Hell's Kitchen. This is just one tiny little fucked up corner of New York, and like this is just what's happening here for this year or however long they take place over.
I'm not entirely sure why Far From Home, other than like by the title, had to happen in like Europe. I don't know why that couldn't have taken place other than it being Far From Home. It could have really just taken place,
Anywhere
else, like New York.
It's also weird to me that like that took place after the blip, and that also introduced all of those questions about chronology.
No. I have to get into this because it really did make me really upset.
Get wound.
Why the fuck would grown adult men and women and just parents in general send their children that just got back from being basically dead on a trip to a different country? Why?
No idea.
Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. Like, just because you want things to go back to normal, that doesn't, no. Your kids were thought to be dead for 5 years, and now you're going to send them to a foreign country by themselves just because, it's a school trip. Fuck school trips.
Not leaving the house, not leaving my sight, getting one of those little child leash backpacks that looks like a teddy bear. Like...
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah, and also, like, how did they deal, like... I don't know. I just imagine the post-blip TSA would just be literally the worst. Like...
I just don't understand. First of all, we're in a pandemic right now, yeah? And borders have been, like, kind of iffy. Just, like, internationally. But you're telling me every country just completely opened up their borders to tourism after, like, half the world's population came back from being dead?
Yeah, and
then... they did not. No, they didn't.
They didn't. And especially, like, when now that we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier... like, showing us that there's its crazy xenophobia and instability and stuff. Like, I just find it hard to believe that it was that easy to just have a school trip to Europe when...
there's no fucking way it was that easy. Like,
no way.
You're saying...
Also,
like...
after, like, all of that shit, I get that, like, Tony Stark was the one who did the snap, but, like, the fucking murals of him and all of that bullshit, and I'm like, the fact that there's all of that about him, and at the same point, they're like, yeah, he was actually violating a lot of his workers' rights, and even in his death, they are still, like, being oppressed and taken advantage of. The math isn't mathing.
I mean, that's exactly how it would have gone over in real time. They would have been like, oh my god, he was such a great man, and then they're like, actually, he was horribly abusing his workers. Like, we don't care, he was a great guy.
Yeah.
But maybe not him, obviously, specifically abusing his workers, but we all know how it goes.
I mean, yeah. We've seen how he treated Pepper, okay? Let's talk about boundary setting.
I don't even... You know what? Let's just get away from the Iron Man.
We gotta get rid of it, yeah. So back to Spider-Man.
Talk about him forever.
I know we're, like, planning on talking about movies and film and streaming later, but I do think it is... I kind of want to touch on it a little bit now with having all of these different movies tying together. We're kind of at a point where the medium of film is not entirely changing, but there is an aspect of it that is becoming far more serialized than what we've seen in the past. Even with the MCU, like the concept of, like, Sony owning Sony owning Spider-Man and, like, the idea of all of these different franchises in post mixing together and people teasing whether or not it's Daredevil. And it's like so much of the film industry that is dominated by these movies is just entirely about speculation. Like we saw it like with WandaVision, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'd say more with WandaVision and Loki than Falcon and the Winter Soldier just based on how the shows are structured. As far as like Falcon and the Winter Soldier wasn't so much about like discovering a mystery. It was like, well... there's terrorists. Let's stop them. But I think it's oh shit, I lost my train of thought. But like so much of it is just based around getting people to talk about what could be happening in the plot, which I think that especially people our age and younger who've kind of grown up most of our lives with superhero movies being this big, huge cultural draw, really need to like kind of stop and think about how this affects the way we consume media and consume film.
We do. Actually, I don't know how you reminded me of this, but I think that one thing we actually would really, I don't know, benefit from on Disney Plus is a show about the blip, but not told from the perspective of any of the superheroes that were there or like alive at the time, but literally told from the perspective of people that lived through it. I just think it'd be very interesting to see a story about that. From the perspective of regular people, like suffering through that.
What I would love is if they would do that and do it as like a mini series where each episode just follows an entirely different storyline. And like maybe some parts connect, but some parts don't, and just a little serial version of each. Like kind of like, I guess it's kind of similar to the format of WandaVision before WandaVision became what it was. But that's the downside of that, though, is it seems with all of their streaming properties, Disney is only interested in using those to build up to films.
That's true.
Like, I feel like they're not going to do that.
If we had one of the shows, like, someone would have to be, like, the friend of someone that ends up being a superhero.
Yeah.
Which I think is a disservice to, like, the story that could be what happened during the blip.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, I mean, again, it's because Disney's kind of prioritizing doing all of these things based off of franchising and based on what gets you to watch it. If you're going to sit down and watch the series, whether or not you think it's culturally poignant, they're going to do that. And I think probably out of all of the Disney Plus streaming things, I would still say The Mandalorian is the most, maybe WandaVision kind of, if in the first few episodes, but it's like the most divergent from their typical formula of like leading into a thing. Yeah. Although now with season 2 of The Mandalorian, it's kind of opening back. They're doing that thing. Season 1 of The Mandalorian and like the first half of WandaVision, very much like, I don't know, like almost an arts for art's sake approach to TV as far as streaming. Yeah. And so I wish they have more money than God. They have more money than God. They could just throw just a few million dollars. They wouldn't even notice. They could just throw a few $1 million at some people and just tell them to write something engaging and beautiful, and it would get built. Like, people would make it happen. They would film it with iPhones. It would be cool. It'd be a cult classic.
Wait. I've actually been researching a lot of like the people that end up writing for Disney recently, specifically Marvel. I realized a lot of them don't have like a super long resume of things that they've written / done. And I'm just like, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
I don't know what that's about. But I guess like everyone has to start somewhere, and these people are just getting started with Disney.
Yeah.
And I don't think that has anything to do with the quality of story we're getting, but I just think it's something interesting to note.
Yeah, I'm wondering too if that's because like with the online streaming, it seems like, you know, kind of getting more bang for your buck because they're not going to shell out as much money for the crazy CGI as for the right thing. True. So you can test out writers essentially kind of like almost an internship, but not really because it's a full-time job. But you can test them out on small things. If they work well, put them on more things. Otherwise, you know, get rid of them. It'd be interesting to see what that correlates to as far as networks or like connections or how people go about getting jobs in those circles and where the people who have those jobs move on to and why people who could get those jobs don't take them. If like people with more longer CVs, you know?
As Universal Love said, like what will this gig with Marvel do to Chloe Zhao's career in the future? I don't think it would hurt. I can't imagine it's hurting her career.
Yeah.
Like these are some of the highest grossing movies out. Like obviously like the franchise wise.
Oh, yeah, and if you also think about it, like, a lot of actors, as far as my understanding is, they just basically join the MCU, make several millions of dollars for a few years, and then they go and do their artsy projects if that's what they want to do. And I assume it transfers for other aspects of filmmaking that aren't just acting, like for cinematography, for directing, for anything else.
Like, I feel like even if you were on the least liked show or like movie, that still counts for something.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it got made and it's like a thing. And that's the other thing is like even the fact, like, my least favorite parts of, like, Loki, Falcon, the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision, like, they're not bad shows. Like, it's not like I regret watching them, even though I think there were things that they could handle better. So...
I do... Hold on. You reminded me of something. I think I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I think we should really have an honest conversation about the representation in Loki.
Yeah.
And if this is something we are really willing to accept as, like, this is actually a confirmed, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, gender fluid character, because if we're being 100% honest, that character, Loki, in the show was not written to be gender fluid. Not written to be at all.
No, that was something put in post. 100%.
Yes, it was. I don't care that there was a small piece of paper at, like, if you pause at this right time at the end credits that said he was gender fluid. Like, have we, the show, the writers did not actually take that into account, because there's no reason why a gender fluid character would be surprised that there was a female version of themselves.
Not at all. No, you're 100%.
Let alone refer to them as that scary, the idea of a female version of themselves. That character was not written to be gender.
That is cis bullshit. The writing of that whole thing, 100% agree. And it's giving the way Disney constantly has their first confirmed gay character, in that if you have to tell me that you have representation, and if you didn't actively tell me, I wouldn't notice. If it's a blink and you miss it, you're not doing representation. You're trying to check a box. And I'm thinking about that a lot, because, like, I still need to fit.
Oh, hold on a minute. We gotta change this Nightbot thing, because it keeps saying that, like, anyone expressing any form of joy is spamming.
We don't allow joy on our streams. Hold on, I'm literally
Just
on.
Cast Iron Pan. You are not spamming. We like your enthusiasm. I apologize for Nightbot.
Okay. There we go. Okay. I told Nightbot to calm down.
Okay. But hey, forgot to say hey.
Yeah.
What were
okay, Universal Love said, yeah, because Disney has more queer characters or LGBTQ characters in, like, teen shows like Annie Mac and Owl House. They act like adult queer people don't exist, and, like, the things where they put actual queer representation, like, they're not actively advertising that there's, like, hey, by the way, here are the gays. But in the things, and I think also part of it is, you know, what Disney puts forth and what news outlets latch onto, and where those overlaps actually are.
Big part of it.
Because, like,
that's a big part of
someone could say, you know, if you said in an interview, oh yeah, well, technically he's gender fluid, to, like, hint at the fact that there's a female Loki, like, which is kind of like but, like, the second you say that is what everyone clamps down on and, like, focuses. But, like, that wouldn't happen if where Disney put actual representation, they drew attention to the fact that there's representation. And they don't want to, because they don't want people who are conservative and who are homophobic to see that and then write them letters and get mad. Yeah, they say every character is the first. But, like, this
is the first one doing it in sunlight.
Yeah, but we've had, like, over a decade of the MCU. And I get that, like, the late 2000s, when it came out, was a very different landscape as opposed to today with what you could put on screen as far as having queer of any type characters.
It's true.
But, like, we're here now. It's about time. I'm remembering from, like, a few years ago. It had to be, like, 2014 or 2013 when, like, Cheerios came out with that one Cheerio commercial with an interracial couple.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I got so pissed.
So mad. People were livid. They were angry, like, writing letters, hateful comments. And it's like, we've come this far from then that you can have interracial couples and it's not, like, a topic of news, really. Yeah. But, like, we should also be there on other things.
Yes. I fully agree.
It was an adorable commercial.
we were supposed to move on to Shang-Chi a while ago.
We're fine.
Okay, so about Shang-Chi, where did I write this down? It's
I
in my
haven't,
agenda.
because neither of us have seen, I know why it's written down, because neither of us have seen Shang-Chi yet. But
Yes.
one of the things...
Wait, I do want to say why I haven't. Like, I know I've been talking about wanting to see it so bad. I want to see it super, super badly. Unfortunately, I just moved here from, like, out of the country and have only just been able to get my first COVID shot. And I'm not going to the movie theater, a packed movie theater, until I am double vaxxed. So I can't see it for, like, the next few weeks.
I'm double vaxxed, but I live in Oklahoma, so I don't trust anyone here, like, at all.
Thank you. It's great to be back, Universal Love.
But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it, because I know we're talking about our film, TV, and streaming things, the thing is that, like, specifically talking about how it's not released on streaming yet, and Disney's had so many contentious points right now, and other providers too, like HBO, about, like, what gets released on streaming, what gets released in theaters, and I think it was an interesting decision for them to just release Shang-Chi into theaters and not also put it on streaming. And, like, people were talking about with Dune coming out, after it was screened at, like, film festivals, and people said, you know, you should only, people said you could only watch it in theaters, like, you shouldn't bother even watching it on a TV, which, again, is our next conversation. But, like, what do you think, in your opinion, if I could just pick at your brain and put you on the spot here, what do you think of the significance between releasing films on streaming services versus theaters, and also why you think Disney might have elected not to do that with this particular film, but other ones they have, like Black Widow, they did so.
First off, I don't even like movies, so in my honest opinion, I don't really care for the movie theater experience. I personally think it's overrated. I don't like it. So I think everything should just be released on streaming, especially now that there's a pandemic. Be released on streaming at the same time for people like me that, like, might maybe kind of want to see the movie, but also want the freedom to be able to pause it whenever I want and, like, come back to it. Like, the movie going experience, if I'm saying to anyone that does like it, if you go, I do fully understand that they make their money by selling snacks. Like, the workers make their money by selling snacks at the what is it called? The
concession stand?
Concierge. Concession stand, thank you.
The concierge desk.
Remember, when you go and buy popcorn and you then eat the popcorn, you must take off your mask in a crowded theater to eat with people that may or may not be vaxxed like you. So that is a great way to get COVID if you take off your mask in a crowded theater.
That reminds me.
Just remember that.
That reminds me of something entirely unrelated, but kind of related.
Yes.
When I was an RA in college, and we would have, like, movie nights or, like, get a projector to do movie streaming, I would just call the theater and ask them if they would give me a trash bag full of popcorn, and they would.
Did they?
Yeah, for free.
Awesome.
Because it costs nothing to make. So if you ever want free popcorn, just try calling them. Not when you're at the theater, but just try calling a movie theater. Like, it was like an AMC.
Oh, also, if you desperately do want to support the people at the movie theater, buy your snacks on the way out so you can eat them in the car or at home. Or not in a crowded movie theater.
Better yet,
you really do want to support them that badly and not just have an excuse to eat in the movie theater while you enjoy your movie, buy it on the way out.
Here's what you do. You go to the movie theater, buy overpriced snacks, then take them home, watch the movie at home. Boom. Everybody wins.
I mean, if you so desperately want to support the workers there, to buy the snacks on the way out. Oh, and now, wait, what do you say, Universal Love? I have to read your comment. I also know Disney put, like, a 45-day wait because the movies were like, you boasted about making money for Black Widow, you're killing if it's... Yeah. Honestly, the movie theater experience, I can't really speak to that. I don't enjoy it.
See,
I've been very vocal about not liking movies. I still don't like movies. I like some movies, though. This is one of them I want to see. Don't really care for the theater-going experience. Would prefer if it was just on Disney+. I think they're doing it because, like, they low-key can. They're like, you know what? let's see if the hype is really all that it's about. Sorry, that's not how the saying goes. I'm still getting used to speaking English again. But like they're just doing it to see if it works because they know that people have been asking for more diverse movies, so they want to see how badly we want it. And this is showing them that we want it pretty damn badly.
Yeah. And I just want to say, as someone who, I love going to the movies, like specifically as an experience, I'm like, yes, I will pay $30 to go and sit in a semi-comfortable chair and eat overpriced popcorn and snacks.
It's for some people.
It is for some people. Oh yeah, no, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because as someone who doesn't like movies, I feel like your opinion's important. But like, I also feel, because we are still in a pandemic, it is really important to have things available on streaming services, because if the choice is go into theater or like not see it, I'm just not going to watch the movies. Like, I will wait until it's on DVD or I can rent it or streaming or like whatever I have to do, because like I don't want to go into theater and contract a deadly pathogen. Like, I don't know what's really confusing about that, but I really do love theater.
That comment about like, oh, if you're not going to see it in theaters, just don't see it at all. To me, that's just saying, to me as someone that doesn't like movies, is that this movie is meh. Just like wait till it comes out on like download, because if it's not worth seeing in theaters, it's just not worth like going out of your way to see. That's what it translates to in my mind.
Yeah.
Not like this movie is so good that like if you don't watch it in the theaters, like don't even bother watching it. It just means to me that it's just a meh movie.
Yeah, and I would say, like, there are certain movies... The funny thing, too, is, like, Patty Jenkins specifically said that she felt like, you know, the movie, like, streaming movies felt fake and not good. And I was like, this is bold from the person who directed Wonder Woman 1984, which I know you said you didn't see, but, like, it was bad. It was so bad. I just watched He's All That, and it wasn't great. Wonder Woman 1984 was bad. Because they had the money. They had no excuse, okay? Like, and
I didn't see Wonder Woman 1984 because I love Wonder Woman, and I just don't want to be hurt, okay? I don't want to be hurt.
I originally
hold on, I do want to say something really quickly about
Please do.
WB's movies. I would love to work for WB. Do not take this, if you're watching this WB, do not take this as a personal offense, but I would just like it very much if you stopped hiring Zack Snyder to work on your films, because I realized I don't think I've really enjoyed a single movie he's directed or like really worked on.
Yeah, but he's so nice apparently. I feel bad.
I think he might be a really nice guy, a really nice person. But please stop making your DC movies so gritty and dark, because like it's not working. It's not the vibe. You can't make Superman a boring guy. He's a nice guy, and you made his character so dull in the Batman versus Superman movie. Like, he's my favorite superhero of all time, and I did not care what happened to him in that movie. That's a problem.
I did not see that. He's a sweet boy, but Superman should always be a sweet boy, is what I'm saying. But like,
he's a sweet boy. Why would you make him not a sweet boy? What was the point in that? Like, what did you get from that?
What are we gaining? But yeah, so I think it's just funny that she said that. But there are like certain movies, like when Avatar, the Blue People one came out, I did not see it in theater. I saw it on my TV at home, and I was like, wow, this was shit. And watching it on my TV, I'm like, actually, this would be really cool to see in a movie theater. But like, you have that experience. Like, I saw like Dunkirk in the theaters. I saw Annihilation coming to mind, and like those two are also...
All right. I do have to like revise what I said, because I remember seeing Shark Boy and Lava Girl in the theaters. That movie was just like honestly 10 times better in the theater.
10 times better, easy. But like
that's because you could see it in 3D with like the glasses. Well, like, if it's not a 3D movie,
I
don't think there's a need for it to be seen in the theater.
I will respectfully disagree, because there's something, and I mean, for me at least, but like, I don't know, the emotional weight of Dunkirk, like watching it in a giant room with like a huge screen, or like when I saw Annihilation for the first time.
I still haven't seen that movie. It looks beautiful. I want to
It is beautiful.
Also, Isaac is in it.
Right, which is why it was like really fun to watch in a theater, because you just have this, and I love watching, personally, I like going to the movie theater. I go to the movies by myself because I'm not weird. Like, I don't know why people have such an aversion to doing stuff by themselves. I'm excellent company. I'm fine. And also, going to a movie, you're literally just sitting in a dark room.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you're really having a solo experience in a movie. Why do you need to go see it with people?
So I don't know why people do that, but I really loved when I was in college, because I live right next to a movie theater, like Sunday matinees. So like, for, you know, when people are off going to church, I go to the movies, and seeing a movie like Annihilation that's just very creepy and existential, and you're in this dark room with a huge screen, and like, you know, the special effects and the visuals were just lovely and ethereal and creepy and haunting, and then like walking out of that and it's like bright sunny day on a Sunday afternoon, it's an amazing feeling. And so that's why I like things like that in the movies. Or like, I also, now I'm just waxing poetic about movies, because I also think about all the times, you know, going out with friends and you get done with a movie and it's like 12:30 or 1, and so everything is closed and you're just in an empty parking lot, and like, there's just like, I just love that energy that comes from after seeing a movie, and I don't always get that when I watch movies at home. And that's not always. There are some really beautiful movies that like, you just watch it and you're like, I'm feeling all of the emotions. But that is one thing I do like about the theater going experience, which is why I don't think we should always get rid of theaters. Also, we need to stop getting rid of industries. People need jobs. We should start paying people for stuff. Get the like they did back in the 30s. Like, we just need all this shit. Believe it or not, we can't automate everything without a social safety net. So you got to pick one or the other. Ideally both, but you got to at least do one or the other. But I'm also like, wow, I really like that experience. But also, it is just a fleeting experience, and there's a pandemic.
Yeah. It is a fleeting experience. Like, I just haven't had great, like, experiences with movies. There's, like, a handful of movies that I, like, really enjoyed and loved the experience of seeing. Like, I saw Star Wars The Force Awakens in one of those, like, shaky chairs that, like, literally like, move with the scenes. That was an experience. But I also enjoyed the movie when I sat in my bed and watched it, like, by myself, like, a few months later.
I saw a really shitty movie in one of those chairs. I can't remember it now, but I remember all the normal tickets were sold, so me and my roommate paid like $20 to get the shaky chair tickets, because we were just like, we were here at the theater, we're watching it. We weren't roommates then, but I can't remember the movie. She's not here now either, so I can ask her. I will say, one of the best moments I've ever had in a movie theater was watching The Last Jedi. Yeah, that's the 8th Star Wars movie. Yeah. Or, you know, 8 numerically. And spoilers, I guess. It's been out for years.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Like, if you
but
seen it, that's on
the
you.
scene where Admiral Holdo, like, light speeds through the giant cruiser thing, and it's like, there's a flash of light, and it just, everything is silent, and then it explodes. That was such a beautiful thing to experience in a movie theater. And the reason why is because you're all sitting watching the movie and the entire theater was silent, and then as soon as that burst of light shot through the ship, you just hear this faint from everyone in the audience, and then it explodes. And it's just like, that's the one thing I love about going to movie theaters. It's just this weird sort of connection you have to a bunch of people in this moment, all experiencing the same emotion. And I'm like, that is, to this day, one of my favorite theater going experiences, regardless of how you felt about the movie. Just like, the cinematography of that was beautiful, and that's something you can't get on a TV screen. You just can't.
Fair. Like, quick question. Do you know who Tom Joyner is?
That name sounds familiar. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
So when I was a kid, I went, I used to live in South Florida, and I went to the Aventura Mall with my dad because he wanted to see one of the X-Men movies. And I was just like, I sat down in the chair and I was just like, that guy sitting next to me like looks really fucking familiar. And I was like, wait a second, that's Tom Joyner. So I just sat and watched like one of, I don't know which X-Men movie it was. I think it was one of the like original like trilogy ones, just right next to Tom Joyner. And I was like, okay, this movie, I don't remember what happens, but I remember Wolverine was in it, and that was it.
Phenomenal. Could have been any of them. Yeah.
That was a great theater going experience, I guess. I got to sit next to like a celebrity.
Cool.
I was way too young for it to really matter to me, though.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I also just like having things
don't.
giant.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
I don't vibe with the movie theater. I don't really like super loud spaces, and a movie theater, they play the volume pretty loud, and that's just not my vibe.
yeah. But and also another reason why I wanted to talk about theaters and movies versus streaming is because especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all of Disney's properties really that they are trying to flesh out into these large all-encompassing universes, and we have things when we can have film on streaming and we can have TV on streaming and we can also just stream individual creators. It really blurs the lines between these mediums. And the thing I was thinking about, like with Star Wars having all the things or having the MCU, where you have all of these things that are essentially like episodes of a larger story. At some point, these are going to. Sorry, the sky's a weird color outside. I don't care for it.
Cool.
I think there's a storm coming, but when we have all of these different elements, at what point do these lines blur and do these medium become imperceptible? And could you have the inverse? Could you have a TV series that people go to a theater to watch?
I don't think so.
How?
First of all,
How?
they would have to. They wouldn't be able to just like run it, like all the way through without stopping. People would want to pause, and like you can't pause.
No, what I'm saying though,
Like a movie at a movie theater.
if I
If
had.
you get up, you'd lose your spot.
No, what I'm meaning is like if there were theaters and they showed how close together do you think Marvel movies could get in release dates for people to still continue to see all of them? And if you could do that where you had a period of time
That's true.
where you
Okay,
had like one coming out like once every week, not a movie, but like something that's like an hour and a half, or like 40 minutes to an hour would be regular TV, like Prestige TV would be like an hour plus. If you had a limited release, so you had theaters just airing one episode a week for like 10 weeks, is that a thing that could feasibly happen? And would that be a TV show? Would that be film?
Too complicated. Way too complicated. I don't know.
What if you just did
I don't
special
think
showing?
so.
Oh, well, I
First
know.
of all, you would have to like have the tickets that you could reserve them. Like, would you reserve them weekly? Would you reserve them like?
You just
both at
buy
a
all 10
time?
tickets at once. You can already pre-order tickets online. I could buy tickets for every Monday for the next month if I wanted to watch anything. Yeah, you could just do that right now.
But then that also like limits the amount of people that can see it.
Yeah, but you could charge it as a premium for the experience of it all. And all of these...
But that's like also making it way less accessible. If you're only going to release it in theaters and only a certain number of people can see it, it's very exclusive. Those tickets are going to be so ridiculously expensive.
Right? And then what if after the 10-week run, then you drop it on streaming?
I don't know. I mean, like, I would never do it.
Okay, this is unrelated.
Okay, anyone that actually does like movies, please sound off in the comments about what you think about that idea.
Oh, I wouldn't do it. I just think you could make a lot of money from doing it. Also, my brother just sent me a text message asking me if I had ever eaten at Burger King.
Of course you have.
Yeah!
Okay.
Yeah.
But also shame on Disney not having a lot of Chinese subtitles for Marvel things on Disney. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That makes literally no sense. I wanted to say, Universal Love, you brought up a great point. Streaming is superior because you have readily available subtitles for everything. If you want to read what you're watching, which is something I love to do, I watch everything, if possible, with subtitles.
Yeah.
I love it. Just in case, like, I mishear something, I can read and be like, oh, they definitely were talking about something different.
I am a big subtitle
I watched
fan.
Night at the Museum. Honestly, my opinion, one of the best movies ever made.
It's phenomenal.
And I misheard the first time I watched it. I misheard when he said, lock up the lions or they'll eat you. I heard him say, lick up the lions or they'll eat you. And I'm just like, the fuck? Like, I remember being like 8 years old and being confused as hell as to why he had to lick these, like, lions.
Yeah.
These presumably stuffed taxidermy lions so they wouldn't eat him. If I had just had subtitles, that wouldn't have happened. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I do love a good subtitle. And more than the fact that I love subtitles, I get irrationally annoyed when other people don't like subtitles. Like, and they don't want you to put them on there. I'm like, bitch, I don't know what's going on.
That's the same. I like, you know, the the ex that we don't mention because it's moved past, we're done, like hated subtitles with a burning passion. I'm just like, wow, I'm gonna break up with you like really soon.
God. No redeeming qualities, that one.
Like, I'm just saying, I don't think I could ever date someone that like ever vehemently hates subtitles.
Yeah.
Like, why do you hate words on a screen? Like, relax.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just lose. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, if your movie's going to be about a culture,
it should be accessible to those people.
English or American or whatever. Why would you not have it accessible for people that actually speak the language of the culture you are, like, showcasing? That makes no sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, okay, are we done with the streaming versus?
I think we've said a lot of thoughts on that. I just want us to try whether or not they're good ideas. I think we should really try and scrutinize how streaming and film are going to evolve and bleed into each other the next decade.
You reminded me about something. I think I love streaming because it's far more accessible. Not only that, but also to filmmakers and such. Because if you make a movie, there's not a big chance it will actually end up in theaters. But you have a much better chance of it ending up on like a streaming service.
For sure.
For sure. Absolutely for sure. And I'm just like, if you make a movie for like, I don't know, HBO Max or Netflix, there's a chance more people would be able to see it because it's just a far more accessible platform than having to go to a movie theater in a pandemic.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and you wanted to tell me about what the fuck He's All That was supposed to be about. I'm not watching the movie. I'm not going to watch it.
I watched the movie, so you don't have to. I did this as a public service. I took notes. I'm just gonna read through some of my notes.
I love that.
I was like, once I texted you, I was like, I should write this down so I know what to talk about. It gave me the energy of a 90s decom, but without any charm.
Oh.
Addison Rae knew all of her lines. Had no presence. It's very much, oh my gosh, the plot of it is just the most basic, like, I can't even call it a coming of age thing. I mean, it's kind of like She's All That, but inverted. But Addison Rae, she's poor. She's not like other girls. I don't remember her character's name, but she is a beauty influencer. And she's got a ton of money from scholarships that she's using to pay for college. She is in high school, and she goes to a school with all of these rich kids. It is I guess that she pays for it with her thing because her mom's just a single nurse. Her dad moved to Florida, abandoned them for their old family. Anywho, she makes a bet with Madison Pettis, who I completely forgot is like a grown adult now because she's like our age. And that she can take any guy and turn him into a prom king. So, they pick the loser guy and who loves horses, and he goes before school every day. He goes and feeds the horses. And
horse boy. Okay.
He's a horse boy. And he, so then of course she turns him into a cool person and he looks nice, and then they start falling for each other, and then he spoilers, obviously, and then he realizes, oh my god, it was, oh my god, you just liked me for a bet. Now I'm mad at you. And then he storms off and she's all sad because now she actually had feelings for him. And then they go to prom and she wins prom king. Her ex-boyfriend gets prom king. But she takes it all. She's like, I don't want this crowd. Oh, that's the other thing. The one thing I will give this movie is every single boy character was just the worst. Awful human being.
Why are you giving that?
Because that is realistic for teenage boys. That is realistic. They are all awful. The main guy was like just such a pick-me. Like, these rich people are all concerned with, their likes and their photos. I take real black and white photography to darkroom that I don't let people see because I'm so mysterious.
Okay.
And
all right.
literally. It is awful. And I was like, okay, look, I'm not going to give anything to Addison Rae character, but this bitch is trying to pay for college. I'm sorry you don't want to go to college. You just want to be a bub and, fuck around and couch surf your whole life, but like,
you just wanted to take care of horses. It's a very simple life.
Why? I was like, why are, like, she's literally just making money. He's like, oh, do you have to take a picture of that? It's like, yeah, actually, she gets paid thousands of dollars to do that shit. So yeah, she does. Yeah, so every boy was awful, and, the fact that the black girl was being mean, was just being a bitch the entire time. I was like, why are you even friends with her? Because at first I was like, this girl obviously hates you and has it out for you, and then I realized, oh, she does. She was working against her the whole time because she wanted to be prom queen for herself. Oh, as soon as the movie, main guy's best friend, I think her name's Nisha, I wrote down queer brown girl is the only one I cared about. I decided she was queer because her hair was part green. And she was like, you know, South Asian. And she was a little gay, or bisexual at least. Let's see. Oh yeah, there was a point where I paused the movie to go work on something and completely forgot that I was watching it until I came back to my computer and was like, oh shit, there's still a half hour left.
So what I'm hearing is it was for...
Oh no, you cut out.
Oh, what I'm hearing is you were forgettable. Oh, not you, the movie.
The movie was forgettable. And it was a bad movie in the sense that it was forgettable, not, like, I don't think about it in the same way where I think of Wonder Woman 1984, where I'm like, oh my god, that movie sucks. I'm just like...
That was just a bad movie.
That was just a bad movie. There was so many cringing parts of it. Oh, the obligatory karaoke thing where we had to listen to Addison Rae sing. I mean, which was very fine and auto-tuned, whatever. There's so many different parts of the movie that made me cringe. It was just cringe, 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 cringe. Oh my god, is that Matthew Lillard? Cringe, dance battle cringe. It was Matthew Lillard, yeah. and then it ended. Let's see. Oh, if someone compared my mom dying to me, my girlfriend only, or like this girl I'm into leaving me because I was mad at her because she only was with me to a bet, I would fight. I would throw hands. That's what his sister said. His sister was like, we've already lost our mom, and you've just been so happy since you've seen her. I don't want to lose you again. And I was like, bitch, your mom is dead. It was also funny because I was watching it, and like Addison Rae is just down the street in the slightly less... expensive part of town. Oh, the main guy, the like posh guy who cheated on her. This R started out because he cheated on her with some girl, and her friend was live streaming her freaking out on him. The dance that I had to watch. She got in. That was the other thing. Is this whole movie was predicated on the fact that she lost Instagram followers because her boyfriend cheated on her, and the fact that like the idea was that if she became prom queen, she would get her followers back. Doesn't make sense to me. The fact that people would side with her boyfriend doesn't make sense to me. The fact that her boyfriend's song, he had this little dance where he sang about the mean streets of Polly. Awful. I watched that dance. It felt like a hate crime. Look, sexuality is not a choice, but if it was, I stand by being a lesbian. After watching that, I do not understand why. I just do not get it. And all of this, I have not even talked about the product placement. Okay? The first thing was a Core water bottle.
This.
You know the water bottles, I do like a Core water bottle. They're not sponsoring this stream, but I can put one in here if they'd give us money. They're very easy to open. But it was in the car. And then later, this is what bothered me so much about the product placement. They're at the lunch table. They both have their water bottles open, and the lid, because they have those giant ass lids, are on the table. What person, you're sitting outside. Why would you just leave your water bottle open?
The water bottle like open with the lid
they
on
put
the table?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's gross.
I was like, first of all, what kind of person is just leaving their water bottle open? It wasn't Domino's, it was Pizza Hut. We'll get to that. It's just leaving their water bottle open. Second, why would you leave the open part on the table?
On the table.
Upside down. We are
down.
Humans. We are human beings. That bothered me. And then later there was product placement. I was keeping track of it. So we got 3 Core water bottles. And then at the party, at the karaoke.
You counted them?
Well, there was only 3. It's really easy to count.
Oh, okay.
There was 2 at once. Oh, and then they got up from their table. And they left the water bottles on the table. And I was like, bitch, your water's there.
Water bottles?
I mean, they're like the smart water price range.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, they're rich LA kids, but I'm also like, aren't you guys supposed to pretend to care about the environment? Like, this is California. I thought you were about recycling. Like, this is SoCal. Like, what's going on here? And then at the karaoke party for this girl's birthday party, who turned out to be...
Was it very Camp Rock? I saw like clips of it. It felt like Camp Rock.
Yeah, it felt more like the other camp, you know, that Camp Rock was like...
Camp Star.
Yeah, not that one, the other one.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a table, and you can see on the table, as far as product placement goes, having some Pizza Hut pizza boxes on the table was not the worst, but the giant bucket of KFC chicken was a lot to just process. The fact that I'm like, you're telling me you have this bougie, like, LA birthday party where you have a DJ, mixer, and all these super wealthy teens and stuff, and you can't get a serving dish. Chicken? Yeah, you can't get a serving dish for your KFC. And then, when the girl left, when Nisha was leaving early, and she said, "Can I take this KFC to go?" And then grabs the entire unopened full bucket, like a full family-sized bucket of KFC, and leaves. What? What? No one in their entire life has done this that wasn't just like a 32-year-old mom with 3 mouths to feed at home. Because why would you? Why would you take an entire fucking bucket of KFC to go? It was the only bucket on the table. No one else gets any chicken now.
Okay, all right. This didn't happen. I kind of did the same thing in college, but not with KFC. We went to this, like, my friend and I, we went to this, I guess, like, college, you know, they have one of those mixer things, and, like, we were supposed to come in our pajamas. I think it was, like, a slumber party thing, and, like, not a lot of people came, so we just, like, went up to the table that had, like, all the pizzas, and we were just like, can we take these? And we just left the party with, like, 2 full Domino's boxes of pizza.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, like, people do it.
Oh, yeah,
if
like...
chicken was there, we would want to say with chicken.
It was just... The energy was kind of weird. Also, it was just odd. The specific circumstances in which that... Because I've taken home food at things at the end of a party and stuff. But just, like, in the middle of a party, there's only 1 bucket of KFC and just, like, taking it. Like, it's different than, like, you know... If it's getting to the end of the night, because usually whenever I run things or if I have food, like, you're usually begging people to take leftover food home with them. But I'm like, you're literally leaving the party early, way before it's over, and you just asked to take the chicken with you, which again, you can do. But also, like you're also
a full bucket.
You also go to a school of rich LA kids, like, you're super wealthy, like, you can afford your own KFC. You could DoorDash it even.
It's definitely cold. It's definitely cold.
It's definitely cold. Yeah, so that's what I had there.
Wait, did it tell you the price for real?
No, it didn't tell you the price. But she was literally like, can I take some of this KFC to go? It was cringe. Oh, Kourtney Kardashian was there, which I thought was interesting.
I heard about that.
Only because I heard there was a Kardashian and I wasn't paying super close attention. I thought she and Khloe were BFFs. And Kourtney Kardashian also knew all of her lines. Yeah, I'm glad that they let the queer brown girl have an Asian girlfriend. I always love it when you double up on representation like that.
Okay, I do like that as well, because typically it's just like, if we're gonna have a gay couple, one of them's gotta be white.
Yeah. I didn't care for the fact that it was just, you know, best POC best friend being the voice of reason here. Some of the language physically pained me to hear, just the words that they used to sound like kids on the internet.
Hold on, I gotta check who wrote this movie, because sometimes it's like not even a young person, and sometimes it is a young person.
When have you ever heard someone not in a movie call someone a sleazeball?
I'm straight up looking it up. Who wrote this movie?
Who thought the word sleazeball was appropriate to capture how young teenagers talk in 2021? I'm just want to know.
That is an adult man.
That is an adult man.
That's a 56-year-old man.
Yeah.
And yep, that is a 56-year-old man.
And yeah. Yeah, that felt like it. It felt like that. Yeah, I don't know why the entire internet was invested in, oh yeah, that's why the boyfriend got famous after cheating, for sure. I don't know why the internet in this world was so invested with who got prom king or prom queen. Or, like, the second that there was a video of her yelling, like, her makeup sponsors dropped her. And I was like, do you know how much money people invest in their sponsorships? Like, honestly, do you know how hard it is to get dropped from sponsorships, even for doing actually bad things? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm not, like, an influencer. I don't know the struggles Addison Rae had. But I'm glad she got to be an influencer. Just wanted to be a regular girl. And that was the ending, where she was like, all of this makeup, all of this stuff is fake. It's, it's just for show. And then she showed some candid pictures where her hair was messy, and stuff like that. Yeah, like, we've all seen what's happened with Jayas.
It's obviously, like, a relatively old guy that wrote this. If you want, it's the same guy that wrote She's All That wrote this movie.
When did She's All That come out?
1999.
Okay, so when I said that this felt like, and Matthew Lillard was in that one, and 90,
okay, one thing I do have, I don't know if there are 8 people watching right now, but if you did not know this, like, a good chunk, if not the majority of, like, rom-coms are written and directed by men. So when you hear men complain that these things are, like, terrible because they're for women, just to remind them that, like, they're also the same ones that write and direct.
It's because they're
they're the ones making the movies.
They're for the weird idealized version of women that live in men's heads. Yeah, that's exactly why it felt like a 90s movie without the charm, because it just felt like a 90s movie pasted into, like, Gen Z lingo. Also, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that has done text conversations on screen that worked well.
Ooh.
They're little blurbs.
That one movie with, like, Emily Osment, and she was, like, getting cyberbullied. I feel like that worked because it was about being cyberbullied.
Yeah, but it always takes me out of it. When movies or TV shows do it, I guess that they have to, and it's also like, phones are a part of life and people are having text conversations. But, yeah. I will say, after watching this movie, I think Addison Rae is probably like... I haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians.
It was really good. You should watch it.
I know. I will say Addison Rae is probably an incredibly nice girl. That's all. She seems really nice. She's not an actress.
I think they literally just gave her this because she is I almost said Vine, TikTok star.
Oh yeah, and the whole thing is about being it's interesting. The whole thing is about being a beauty influencer, and I wouldn't describe Addison Rae as a beauty influencer, so that's kind of funny.
I think she's a dance influencer.
Yeah.
Right?
Which brings us back to the dance competition. It was unclear because there seemed to be a dance competition at prom that was an important part of, I guess, figuring out who was prom king or prom queen, but it wasn't ever articulated who the judges were, if this was just a formality. Anywho, it should have been better. It just wasn't a good routine.
They did dance-offs better in the 90s when it was just, like, kind of an understood thing that if you were going to have any kind of conflict, it was going to be in a dance battle.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really translate well to now.
Especially because nothing was settled with the dance battle. Dance battle as a substitute for physical violence, always great. I'm glad we had another way of solving this problem. Yeah. But, like when the dance battle...
white girls...
But when the dance battle is over, there should be a winner and a loser. It should be very clear, or at least a good amount of tension. Also, guess what song they did the dance battle to? Just guess. If you've seen it or in the chat, don't say anything. I want Momo to guess.
I don't know. I, like, literally... Is it, like, one of the TikTok songs?
No, it's not a TikTok song.
I really could not guess.
Dance...
What?
They did To Dance Off by Macklemore. Featuring Idris Elba.
I've never heard that song. Featuring Idris Elba?
Yeah.
Like the actor Idris Elba?
No, the other one. Yeah, no, he's just in there.
Wait, is there another Idris Elba?
No, there isn't. I'm joking. It is the actor. No, okay, we can't watch it on stream. We can't listen. Honestly, if you could listen to it in earphones and we could just get your reactions on the stream since we can't play it because we don't know the song. But
I'm live on TikTok. No one's here, but like I am live.
Ah, damn. Yeah, no one's on mine either. But okay, so later we can get that. Maybe you can make a TikTok list. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out after the stream.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, it just...
I did not know Idris was a DJ, and I know now.
Yeah, it just, it was a lot. It was a lot. Which was a different kind of cringe.
I've just done acid, actually.
Yeah, I think I hit all of the important parts. There was a Gatsby theme. The two queer people, they're not explicit. Well, one of them is a lesbian, one of them is bi. You can figure out which is which if you watch the movie. And this is just based off of vibes. But, They were at a Gatsby party and they both dressed as like I forgot who they both it was just really cute. They both had the same costume and they were being all cute together and I was like, aw, make a movie about them. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot. So he wasn't gonna go to the dance. Instead, he went to go and play with his horses because he was upset because, you know, she had lied to him. And then his sister came up and was like, we have a dead mom. You can't let this girl get away from you. And so then he didn't ride the horse all the way there because he specifically said he would probably got arrested on the 405. So it is unclear, as someone who I've not owned horses, but I've had friends who own horses, and
Did he just like leave the horse somewhere?
He took the horse with him because he was at the stables. He took the horse with him from the stables to the dance, so that way when he was at school, he could ride up on the property on his horse to go and meet her outside.
Yeah.
And as someone who's worked around the horses and like the amount of effort it goes to load a horse in a trailer and get them all like fixed up. Also, he like completely changed and like fixed his hair and stuff. I was like, where did you get the time to do all of this? Also, how did you like last minute just casually have a horse trailer go all the way from bumfuck wherever the stables are to like the metropolis, like the actual city where your high school is? Also, it is also illegal to just ride horses anywhere. Like, why are you concerned making a joke about... You can't just take a horse somewhere. Like, you very much can.
In Florida, you totally could.
Okay,
in Florida, you can ride them anywhere.
Okay, you can do anything in Florida. We can't just apply Florida rules to the rest of the universe. Everything would fall apart, okay?
It's Florida rules.
We don't do Florida... We want order, okay? The world would descend into chaos. Yeah.
You can't apply Florida rules to everyday things.
You can't. Okay.
I mean, like, I wouldn't know that. I'm from Florida.
And I'm sorry about that, but, like, it's not our problem.
Okay, so that movie seems like it was an experience. Would you have enjoyed it more if you had seen it in a theater?
I saw that one movie. Okay, I'm trying to think though, because I saw that. Let me look it up.
This is a yes or no question. I know it's a hard question, but answer it.
Okay, here's the thing. If I had seen it just in a theater, no. If I had the option to go to one of those theaters where they serve you dinner and booze, and I could have just like I would have gone to the nines to see that movie. Absolutely 100%. Hold on. I need to look up Taylor Lautner's discography for a very important reason. Give me a sec.
Is he in this
No,
movie?
He's not in this movie. He's not in this movie,
Okay.
but he's in another... What Taylor Lautner do you think I'm talking about, IMDb? Dear God. What was it called? It was the one where Abduction with Taylor Lautner. It was like after... I'm pretty sure it was after like Taken had come out, and it was like that, but like... way worse.
With Taylor Lautner?
Yeah, I don't even remember the plot. But I saw that with friends at like a dollar theater. 20 out of 10 good experience. I would watch this at a dollar theater any day. If I could pay less than $5 for this ticket, absolutely would love to see it in theaters. I'll watch this again. And when my roommate comes back in town, I'm going to ask her if she wants to watch it. And she's going to say no. And then I'm just going to go over my notes with her. Like, that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
But I would happily watch this again. I love shitty movies. I love bad movies. Like, again, this was bad movie. It was accidentally camp, which is really fun. I'd put it in
I also do want to just, like, underline the fact that just because it is a chick flick doesn't make it a bad movie. It's just a bad movie because this movie is genuinely bad.
Yeah,
Most chick flicks are actually fun and good. This one is not one of them.
Oddly enough, I would put this in the category of Cinderella remake, but with a twist on it. Like, it wasn't worse than, like, any of the Cinderellas that are just, like, you know, made for TV movies that are, you know, this one, she's a dancer.
We need to actually talk about this because the most of them are really good.
Yeah.
This one that just came out, the Cinderella movie, I'm not talking about it on my channel because absolutely not. I will not insult the majesty that was the Cinderella 1997 version.
Of course.
No. This one that came out with like She Who Must Not Be Named. It's not in my vocabulary. I don't know what you're talking about. If you talk to me about it, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't exist.
I will say, if I had to put this in a subgenre of like teen movies, I would put it in the same genre as a Cinderella story, but worse, just not good. But if I were in such a mood as which I wanted to watch a bunch of, like, again, soulless decom-esque movies, I would watch this again. I would never watch it again on my own, and I won't watch it again sober, but I would watch it again.
Okay.
Specifically,
I
a Cinderella story.
Your opinion
the Hilary Duff one is what I'm
That one's really good.
No, that one's really good.
I did own that on. I think I owned it on DVD.
And I think that's also the problem, is the fact that this is just like literally just a gender swapped She's All That is, and again, it just feels like you went through all of the motions and you did the plot. You're going into, it's bad because like going into it, you know exactly how it's going to end, but it's not like as someone who loves bad movies, and who loves like Hallmark movies and rom-coms, like I love a good Hallmark movie, and obviously they're all the same movie. You know how it ends.
It's the same movie.
It's the same movie over, and I love that for it, but like you kind of get excited anticipating the ending, whereas here you're just like, okay, this is just very tired. It felt tired. Yeah. There was no joy. Maybe if it was set at Christmas, I'd feel differently. We don't know.
And I think, are we done with He's All That? Is that?
That's all for He's All That.
That's all that.
That's all
that. I don't
that's
think
all that for
him.
For he.
All that, because that is definitely copyrighted.
Who's watching? They're not watching. They don't know.
You don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
Possibly. But now I actually do want to pick your brain about something I've been thinking about.
Okay. Yes.
For superheroes, what is your opinion on superpowers? Like superpowered superheroes, powerless superheroes, and magical superheroes. Like, what is your opinion on that? Do you think a superhero is more interesting if they have a power or ability? Or do you think just having, like, super smarts and a suit is good enough?
Interesting. So my initial response would be super smarts in a suit is enough, with the caveat of it depends on how that is characterized, because I think there's something to be said for the worlds and the universes in which superheroes exist. Having a bunch of people who are either like aliens who come from other places and just have innate abilities, having people who gain their like, and so that's like really. Then you have the potential either for an alien to discover life on Earth, whether or not they know they're an alien, and deal with all of that. And also it gives you the idea for humans to expand what they think of their identity in the grand cosmos. I think one thing I like about people who are born with superpowers is this idea, if it's always a great metaphor, or it can be a great metaphor for like coming of age and understanding yourself and using that to like talk about or, you know, exaggerate how society treats people who are different than them, but also like what does it do meaningfully if you are a person who has the physical ability to stop bad people. And I come back to like the Batman killing the Joker, like, you know, superheroes that do or don't have no kill rules and those sorts of things, because a lot of things are hypothetical, but if you have the actual ability to mold reality in one way or another to a greater degree than the people around you, that creates a new set of moral dilemmas that you have to deal with. And I think a lot of them don't have right answers. And I think that's what you get with something like X-Men, with people who are born with powers, where you have the Charles Xavier and the Magneto schools of thought, when the real answer is neither of them were right 100% of the time. And part of the problem was that mostly it's presented as this dichotomy. And in some cases that worked, and in some cases it didn't make sense. And then, of course, you have people who gain their powers later in life through some ability, like, external force.
Some traumatic event.
Yeah, radioactive, spider, vat, toxin, as you do. And then you have to deal with, all those on a personal level of who am I versus who I was? What are the differences between me and that person, and how are we the same? What are my jobs now? Do I owe people more than I owed them yesterday because I have these abilities? And so I think that's one thing that's really fascinating with superpowers, is because you have the potential to affect specific types of change. It's not always as simple as whether you will use that for good or evil, but is how you're using that actually good, or is how you're using that actually evil? Is beating up bad guys a good thing, or are you just another oppressor? What can individuals do? What does it matter what you can do on an individual level if you can't address the systems? And I think that's something that is a lot more engaged with in comics than it is in films, just based on how Disney has decided to do the MCU and how DC has decided to largely follow, and Sony and all those things are kind of a lot smaller.
I do want to interject here and just remind anyone that's watching that a lot of these movies, and for Warner Brothers and also for Disney/Marvel, they get their equipment for their military stuff from the actual military, so the military has a say in how the equipment is used or featured in the movie. That's why everything seems very propaganda, and low-key is.
And high-key is. It just specifically is.
Gets the script and okays it or not. And if they say it's not okay, they have to go back to the drawing board until the military is okay with it. Yeah. So can you actually have a legitimate critique of the military if they're literally supplying your film?
No, you can't. Especially because they'll allow critiques to happen insofar as specific critiques still leave people feeling patriotic, and in the sense that, oh yeah, there are some bad people in this organization, but the underlying structure is still good, or this is still a good country. But all of that...
It's really irritating. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to go back to the superhero thing, but if you have something you want to say about military stuff, you should say it.
I do. It's really frustrating to have conversations with people that refuse to admit or accept the fact that all of your favorite superhero movies that feature any sort of military anything are inherently military propaganda. If the military accepts what's said in the movie, it can't critique the military if they're paying for it.
Yeah.
That's just not a thing. And people will say, "Oh, it's not propaganda because it says this is bad." I'm like, "Okay." However, they're saying this is okay. You can critique this because it's not actually critiquing the system. It's critiquing this one bad thing that happened to this individual, like an individual level critique, not a system-based critique. Yeah. And there will be. I got into an argument in a comment section a while ago with this person that's just like, "No, the Marvel movies aren't propaganda because my college professor said so." And I'm just like, I'm so sure that your college professor is just parroting something that he personally believes, rather than actually admitting the fact that there's a good chance, and the reality of the fact that if the military is okaying your script and is giving you their equipment and is also bankrolling part of your movie, it's propaganda. It's propaganda. It really is. Even if you think it's critique in the military, it's not.
Yeah. And, yes, it says superheroes, especially in film, are just juiced up cops. And that's the other thing I wanted to get at, because I've been mostly talking about, people with powers and how it opens up the stage for all of these moral things, moral contentions, which is very much dampened by the fact that even in fictional universes, the systems that are corrupt here, like the military, exist there and are unchallenged.
Also corrupt.
Right, and it's hard because you have superheroes who are part of these systems and who are opposing these systems, but also it's just an individual, is always vigilante justice. And when it's not, it's state-sanctioned violence.
Mm-hmm. What I do want to talk about for superhero, before you talk about magical ones, I do want to say what I think about non-superhero
No, that's what I was going to say.
Non-superpowered superheroes.
No, that's what I was going to go on next.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. As I was going to say, I think there is something that is profoundly interesting. And I think it's okay, my phone's gonna die, so I'm just gonna turn off this live. And
That's fair.
Oh, I guess I can charge it, but I can't charge it while I'm live. I think there's something that can be said for a person who sees a world with gods and titans and giants and people, and a person who's just regular, who is doing what they can to sort of carve out a space for the rest of people, which is usually how non-powered heroes tend to be, like, not written, but like usually how they tend to be branded as someone who is just trying to get everyone else to keep up with all of the big titans. And I think in a negative sense, you have people like Tony Stark who then use their intellect and their brain power to assume that they can do whatever they want and they know best, and that because their power comes from their intellect, they inherently know better than the people whose power comes from other sources, when in reality it's not a question of, you know, one person ever knows what is completely best, but a balance of power. And I think that's another interesting thing that isn't written about, or isn't explored a lot. It's not explored at all in the MCU directly, is like the individuals who are intelligent, who have a super suit, whether it's their own, whether it's the government. Like, if you consider the military-industrial complex to be its own hero or its own character, how it opposes all of the other ones. And I don't know, I think there's some potential in those storylines to have just everyday people who are just fighting the best they can to make out their regular life, or just to keep themselves in check and keep these powers in check. But there's also like the idea and the way to sort of showcase the concept of like human hubris in the potential that it doesn't matter whether or not you have powers, anyone has the capacity to affect these things at a large scale and has the capacity to take advantage of what they have ownership over.
I agree. And what are your thoughts on the magical ones? Or is same as the superpowered?
I would put magical similar to superpower. And of course there's like different kinds of magic, like, you know, people born with magic, or you have like the Doctor Strange where they learn magic. But I think especially in a lot of superhero universes, the line between magic and science is pretty blurred in some areas. And they kind of intertwine with each other. So I would put magic in the same I put like having natural superpowers for that. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So my thought on the superpowered versus like non-superpowered superhero is that the superpowered ones are typically like, they're not relatable because they have like superpowers. They literally can morph their bodies. They do this, they do that. But my gripe with having non-superpowered individuals is that they're often like perceived, quote unquote, perceived / peddled to be like the more relatable hero. And I'm just like Tony Stark often falls into this category, and I'm just like, I don't know who finds this man relatable, but there are a lot of specifically men that do, and I'm like, how was that a thing?
It's the same people who relate to Elon Musk. Like
I don't understand what is relatable about this guy. Like his personality, like that's not what like literally makes him a superhero. There are other like actual powered people that have personalities as well. But the fact that he doesn't have superpowers is what makes him relatable. Really? I don't think so, because this is a super rich individual, like a smart ? Individual. I don't know how smart he can be if he decided to make a robot that is all-knowing, because that never turns out well. And superheroes like Batman, that's supposed to be quote-unquote relatable because he doesn't have superpowers. He's supposed to be the one that people can project onto. And I'm like, what is relatable about this guy that is so traumatized as an adult? He dresses up and defeats bad guys in a bat suit. What is relatable about Batman?
Yeah.
That you can't find relatable in superheroes like The Flash or Superman or like Wonder Woman. What about powers makes a character less relatable than someone with powers? If the people without powers have other things that make them super, does that make sense?
Yeah, and just to cast Iron Pan brought up a point that I was going to say, where he says Spider-Man is definitely more relatable than Iron Man, and and I think it comes down to the way they write it. I think it comes down to writers not doing justice and just assuming that the ones that are more human in physicality and this kind of are more human conceptually or on an emotional level.
I absolutely despise when people think that humanity, like literally being human, is the part that makes them relatable, and I'm just like, no,
it's not.
Tony Stark is a really shitty dude. Why are you projecting onto him, other than when people are genuinely more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but better people there that you could project onto. You must be projecting onto the part that is shitty about him, because it can't be the part that he's rich or famous or quote unquote philanthropist. Not super philanthropic in my opinion.
Yeah, so philanthropy only exists under capitalism, so
right. Like the war criminal part, like what part is relatable to you?
Well, I think it's part of it too, and again, because like Tony Stark or Elon Musk, I think just thinks he's like Tony Stark in real life, is people relating to the way someone sells themselves as a person with all the answers, and that's something that a lot of people do resonate with. Unfortunately, is like this concept of things are changing too much. I don't understand it, but this person, he's going to make sure that things change the right way, or we get back to some idea of normalcy, even though the idea of normalcy they're selling is just another fantasy. It's a different kind of change. But I think it's something about having a cishet white man that just acts like they know what is going on and assures people that our society is just designed and actively encourages people to hone in on. And
I think that's probably what I'm picking up on when people say that they find that simply more relatable than a guy that is an alien and has all the answers, and not all the answers, like all the superpowers you could think of, and doesn't destroy humanity and chooses to save it instead. That somehow that's less relatable than the guy that has almost caused the end of the world a handful of times.
And Universal loved, I like the way they worded it, saying, Marvel versus DC. Marvel's like gods trying to be human, and versus normal humans and humans trying to be like gods, or like trying to take all this on themselves. And I think the problem, especially with the cinematic universes we've been offered, is that a lot of the characters just fundamentally aren't relatable because the stakes are always high. They're getting higher. And it's like one thing I really did like about Falcon and the Winter Soldier was that it had the reality of Sam trying to live his life, and not even the not being able to get a bank loan, but like having a family, having a sister, acknowledging that there are things that aren't just saving the day, that are worth doing and investing time in. And, you have that when you get a Superman that is as equally important as the Clark Kent to the story. And when you give people the ability to see things that aren't always the biggest end of the world thing, which I think is part of the reason why those Netflix series did so well, because again, and like why Spider-Man in the comics did better as a Spider-Man than Spider-Man in the movies, because he's not just trying to save the world. It's just someone who found themselves in a situation and it was just responding how a normal human should. And I think one of the problems with superhero movies...
I think so. I do think so. I think that's probably why I did enjoy the Marvel Netflix shows better than the majority of the Disney Plus shows, because the stakes weren't high. They were just the stakes.
Yeah, and it's also there's a big difference in I don't know. There's just such in movies especially, and I think a lot of times too we don't really engage with the fact of this, that a lot of superhero movies are the same story. Person is human. Bad thing happened. Person have superpowers. Now figure out how to use powers. Be good. Be evil. It is the same thing over and over again. The same cycle. And I mean, people talk about movies being repetitive in form. But, I think one thing that is nice is that those movies, because the stakes are lower, we get more of the actual, grappling with the fact that it's hard and there are hard decisions, instead of just what happens in most superhero movies where you have someone who is not interested, not understanding, just immediately jumping to, something bad happens. Now it's like, I am the savior the world needs. Like, there are two sides of that coin. Either you're in or you're out, you're good or you're evil.
That's the biggest problem with a lot of the DC movies is that it's always the end of the world. Like, it just always is. And, it doesn't always have to be the end of the world.
It doesn't always have to be.
It could be something really bad's just happening. Like in the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad did that really well. That it wasn't.
I still haven't seen it. I need to watch it.
Super bad was happening. I just rewatched it yesterday. It's still pretty good. It's a little gory if you don't like that.
I love gore.
I don't super like that, but I did watch it anyway. But like the Justice League movie, it's always the end of the world.
Yeah.
The Batman vs Superman movie, that was genuinely bad. Always the end of the world.
It's just
doesn't
like
always have to be the end of the world.
thing.
A lot of the Avengers movies are also it's the end of the world.
The thing I need the DC to understand is that I know in a way it's always dark side, but it doesn't always have to be dark side. You know? Like, I know, like, big picture, yeah, okay. But, like, occasionally we can just do some other shit. And you know what? Actually,
now that we are talking about DC, I do want to say that I am just forever grateful that we will not see, like, a Justice League trilogy from Zack Snyder, because reading what was supposed to happen in it, that would have been my 13th reason.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It would have been my 13th reason. I could not have gone through that pain and anguish. Absolutely no.
Yeah.
Absolutely no.
Well, also the thing with DC is, the problem is, DC has such good villains. Like, all of their villains are so much more interesting, so much better than Marvel villains. But also, so many of them are just dumb as fuck. Like, the principle of it is just corny as hell. And you can't... You can't take that and make it super gritty. I was like, look, the guy's Calendar Man. I haven't seen Suicide Squad, but I was like, there's only so much you can do with that. And we need to embrace that and take that. And, like, it doesn't need to be prestige drama.
To the people that are complaining that they didn't make Arm Fall Off Boy cool enough, his name is fucking Arm Fall Off Boy. They changed it to the Detachable Kid. That is already an improvement. His power in the comics is to rip off his limbs and hit people with it. They had him that he can, like, control it by telekinesis now? That is an improvement. I don't know what the fuck you wanted other than that.
That's like, phenomenal. I don't know why you wouldn't want that. That's everything you could want. Like, things...
That's everything they could have possibly given. I don't know what else you would have wanted. People were like, they should have given him time travel. What the fuck does that have to do with taking off your arms? Nothing.
I love Lady Gaga. What the fuck does she know about cameras?
Not cameras. What the fuck does Arm Fall Off Boy know about time travel? Nothing.
Also, I'm just like, actually, as someone who loves a good time travel storyline, we need fewer of them, because a lot of y'all don't know how time travel works. And it doesn't always need to be done. Also, time travel is its own shark. It is its own jumping the shark. Even if it's the premise of whatever you're doing, once you go time travel, all bets are off. You're never coming back down from that. Like,
because first of all, time travel's not real. It can really function however you need it to function, but you can't contradict yourself in your time travel.
You can't.
Like, you just can't do it.
Honestly, any major franchise that wants to do time travel script should just run it by me, because, like, I'm on top of it. I might be the only one who knows how time travel works, even though it's not real. I'm convinced of it. Oh, I still need to watch Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow looks like a fun show.
It is camp. It is camp.
It looks camp. It looks, that one guy, the freeze guy, he just always looks, the guy who's, like, actually, what the fuck is that actor's name? I've seen him in, like, actual stuff.
Oh, and he's actually half black, and he just looks like a full white man?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
Isn't he in Prison Break? Wasn't that him?
He was in Prison Break. I do not remember his name.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about a lot of DC movies. I have a love-hate relationship with the CW DC franchises.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do you say your name? Is it Amarke? I can't. I'm like basically illiterate, I guess. Amarke. I'm sorry. I will check it out. Is your username the same here as on TikTok?
I haven't
wait for an answer.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with all of them. I'm like a few seasons behind on each one because at some point they're just like, in order to watch these. Oh, nice. In order to watch these.
Okay.
You have
I will
to
check it out after stream.
But like, that is CW is like a more concentrated version of the MCU where it's at a point where you have to start watching all the other things in order to understand it because there's so many crossovers. And I was like, okay, now I gotta go fucking watch The Flash so I can understand what's going on Arrow. But like, it's their 13th reason.
Honestly, I watched The Flash when it came out in 2015. They lost me after like the second Barry running back in time and fucking things up again. Like, you can't keep doing this, bro.
You can't keep getting away with this.
I can't. Like, you can't keep getting away with this. Like, stop.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Like, how are you supposed to keep your audience if everyone keeps forgetting that Barry's the Flash, like, every season? I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
I never watched Charmed. I watched enough of Supergirl until I was tired of being queer baited. It's just, okay, here's the thing. Actresses that I will watch anything that they are in, if it's good or bad. Katie McGrath is on that list. She's there. And
I knew it.
I am who I am. But I could only go through so much.
Who you are is super gay.
Who I am is super gay. Listen, oh my god, when do we get to do one of these where we just rewatch BBC Merlin and I share all my my theories? I can't wait to talk about my theories. Just me.
Amelia, are you sitting down? Yeah, you are. I have never seen BBC.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Momo, oh my god. I need you to watch this.
I've never seen BBC.
No, I need to watch it with you. I need to know all of your thoughts. It's like, okay, as far as like fandom. I have
never seen BBC Merlin. I watched the first episode of Sherlock and never watched the rest.
Okay, out of all of the super Wholock things, BBC Merlin is what I would recommend watching. But I'm also just really gay for Katie McGrath. And you know how I feel about Celtic stuff, so we're already just like...
Yeah.
But, like, BBC Merlin we need an open rewatch for Merlin. Because it is just, it's not good, okay? It's not good. But, like, it's great.
It's not good.
It's not good, but, like, it's great. It's more fun than Sherlock's and Supernatural, hands down, easily.
Have you seen, Gallivant? Of course you have. You must have seen Gallivant.
Have I seen Gallivant? Listen, it vexes me to this very day that I didn't find it until after it was already off the air. Curse you, ABC, curse you for not properly advertising the greatest show of the 2010s, okay? Timothy Omenson in his prime. And not only did they cancel this off the air, not only did they not give it the respect that it deserves, but it's not online. It's not on any streaming service. It used to be on Netflix. Not on Netflix. It's not on Netflix anymore. It's not on Disney Plus. It's not on ABC. It's not on Hulu. No. It is nowhere. It is nowhere. We were robbed. Thank you. Yeah, so I really do like Gallivant, and if I ever got a dragon in real life, I would name it Tad Cooper. All the time in my head, anytime stuff happens, my brain just starts singing, this is my moment in this. My thoughts are never far from Gallivant. For a perspective, I stopped watching Game of Thrones 4 seasons in.
I want you to sing Gallivant's theme song right now.
Way back in days of old, there was a legend told about a hero known as Gallivant. Square jaw and perfect skin. No, that's a different part. Square jaw and perfect hair. Cojones out to there was no hero quite like Gallivant. Tough, plus every other manly value. Mess with him, he'll disembowel you. Hey, he ruled in every way. A fairy tale cliche. And people called him Gallivant. Do you want me to keep going about the Madalena part?
Yeah.
Because I can't. This man we're speaking of, he had a lady love. And Madalena, she was one fair maiden. what is it?
You got this.
A queer jaw and perfect skin, a body, no. Soft hair and perfect skin, a body built for sin with cleavage you could hold a whole parade in. True love was never this ecstatic, nor so wildly acrobatic. Hey, they, what is it? He pleased her every day. Something, oh wait, no, true love was never this ecstatic, nor...
I believe in you.
As wildly acrobatic. Yes, he loved her to excess, thrice daily more or less, and she'd be screaming Gallivant. And then, one problem soon would arise, Richard, Timothy Omenson, a nearby king of wealth and stature. He saw Madalena, lust in his eyes, and he asked her for his hand. Well, more like a demand. Well, more like had his henchmen grab her. And then, and then Gallivant goes to rescue Madalena. I just summed up the first 2 minutes of the show.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
I love that.
I'm a big...
Actually, now that we did the whole, like, Celtic thing, are we going to transition to what you wanted to ask me about D&D?
Yeah, do we have time? Because I kind of wanted to have, like, a conversation about it.
I think we have, like, 10 minutes, and then...
Okay.
We can end stream.
Oh, wait, okay, well, no. I want to do a longer convo. So, okay. We're gonna hold it off. But speaking of Celtic, I'm just gonna ask you some questions. Have you ever watched any cartoons? I know you don't like Moon. That wasn't the end of that. Have you ever watched Cartoon Saloon movies? Do you like them? Do you hate them?
I don't think so. I don't know what you're talking about.
One of my favorite movies, my favorite animated movie is The Secret of Kells. And Cartoon Saloon.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like, it used to be on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore. They're this Irish animation studio, and so all of their stuff is like very influenced by like Celtic designs and illustration. But it's just like a sweet movie about like a fictional story of how the Book of Kells, which is one of like Ireland's greatest national treasures, was written. But all their movies are just like, here's a small child, here's a small girl, she is feral. And just going into the world. But they had...
Okay.
Song of the Sea is on Netflix. It's not my favorite one. Secret of the Kells I love, and Wolf Walkers is on Netflix. Not on Netflix. It's on Apple TV, weirdly enough. But I should subject you to those. So...
I don't have Apple TV.
That's why I'm going to subject you to those at some point. Someday I will be in Florida.
Oh,
eventually.
Awesome. Yeah.
But, yeah. But yeah, no, I really like Gallivant. It is a shame it was canceled. I think there was talk of rebooting it, but then it didn't happen. And then also like Timothy Omenson got like cancer or something that he had to recover from, something serious, some serious health thing. I think he's doing well now. But there should be more musical TV shows. Like,
yeah, we do need them. I mean,
I love musicals. If you couldn't tell that about me. Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, there should be more musical TV shows.
That's true. Okay.
Can we talk about the fact that Gallivant for the first season had fucking Alan Menken writing the score and all of the songs?
That was amazing. It was amazing. I want to shoot him with a crossbow.
Oh, and also like just speaking of Gallivant, Madalena's whole character I love, obviously. But there are just some really great lines in all of those songs. Like the "I love you as much as someone like me could love anyone." I've used that for so many of my D&D characters. It is unreal. And also my personal life. Like, it's great. What show do I think would be better by being a musical show? That is a great question.
That is a great question. Let me think about all the shows that I've seen recently.
I want Phoebe Waller-Bridge to direct something that is a musical TV show. I think she could handle it.
What show would be...
But not any of her shows that she's already produced.
I can't think of any show I've seen recently that would be, like, just infinitely better as a musical.
Okay. I'm going to touch on something you like. Because I was going to say, you know what I do like is when TV... I love... It may be corny. It may be cheesy. I love when TV shows have a musical episode. And you know what show... You know what show did really good? The Magicians!
The Magicians had amazing musical episodes.
So good.
I love that.
I love it. I also love when it's a musical episode. You're like, oh my god, like when they can actually sing or dance and they're really good at it because you're like, oh, this was fun for them. Because I like when the actors seem like they're having a fun time.
They're having fun.
But
like, they're doing a bit. Okay, the first season, episode 4, when they sing "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift, that cost them $10,000 to use like 30 seconds of her song.
Yeah.
Insane.
What's his name? Appleman. What's the guy's name? The actor's name? Hale
Appleman?
Oh, is his last name actually Appleman? I just couldn't remember.
So.
Okay, cool. His cover of Don't Get Me Wrong, like, I love it. I want to buy that. I would pay money for that.
I low-key sing, like, they did a Bowie episode, didn't they? Or, like, Bowie
think so,
musical
yeah.
number. It's, like, Under Pressure.
Yeah.
I still sing Under Pressure. I also do like their version of Take On Me. Unpopular opinion, I still love it.
It's good. I love it.
I cry to it sometimes.
Love that for you.
Oh, and a musical show, if you haven't seen people watching, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I think it did get canceled, but
I think it did.
It was so good.
I didn't like watch it, but like my mom, like whenever I'd watch it with my mom. So I haven't seen the whole series, but I've seen a lot of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shows, the problem is it's just so damn expensive to do musical shows. If you're doing like
license on all that
jukebox musicals, yeah. But yeah, musical shows are good. I also think Gallivant did more and did better anything that Game of Thrones tried to do, and I think that earnestly and sincerely.
I agree. I wholeheartedly.
I'm not even like trying to bait. Wait, was what a good show? Oh, the Zoe's Extraordinary.
Oh, I think Zoe's. It was good. It was really good. It was sad, but it was really good.
It was really poignant. Yeah, being sad about a show with not a ton of POC mood. But yeah, so basically, I just need music copyright to allow more people to use songs, so we can get more jukebox musical. Oh yeah, apparently the new Cinderella is a jukebox musical, and I was like, oh.
Oh yeah. It's terrible.
The thing is,
like, one of the sounds is like semi-trending right now. I think it's like a Janet Jackson
sound. It's not great. Rhythmation.
Absolutely. It made me, I sent this to Deja and I was like, Deja, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think we need to bring Glee back because those mashups were just infinitely better than this is.
Yeah. It was so bad. And I also just really don't like Camila Cabello. Like, I just don't. I don't have a reason. I don't know if she's a bad person or not. I don't care. I think we as a society need to bring back just disliking people. Not everyone has to be problematic. Not everyone needs to have done something bad. I can just not like you. I don't like her. I also don't care for her singing voice. I did not care for that cover. So I'm still going to watch the movie, though, because I want to know.
I'm not gonna watch the movie.
That's my problem as a person, is like whether or not something is good or bad, it may affect my decision to watch it, but not in like a binary sense of like I will only watch good things or only watch bad things. It depends on what kind of good or bad it is. And I feel like watching that Cinderella would be entertaining, even if it won't be good.
Like the movie Sleepover, that movie, it's objectively bad.
It's not a good movie, but isn't it great? Isn't it great though?
It's great. It's great. If I had to remake any like horrible 2000s like movie, I would remake Sleepover because it was awful.
It was awful
in the fact that they were like 8th graders that were like dating high schoolers or something like that. Awful. No, like he was going to college, I think.
Yeah,
that was awful.
And also they were, at some point there was
bad movie.
alcohol.
I would remake it and make it 10,000 times better.
Yeah. Also get rid of the fat phobia. That would be on my list.
Oh yes, for sure.
And that's another thing. I think it's so funny that people are romanticizing the 2000s, and I was like, guys, it was not a fun time. It's very problematic, but Sleepover is one of those movies. I know it's like a nostalgia thing. I would rewatch that right now, though. That was a fun. That's the problem. That's a problem with a lot of. There aren't as many fun bad movies coming out these days as there were in the 90s and the 2000s. And like, because he's all that.
You know, wait, actually, you just reminded me. We should do a TV tournament for just like good bad movies.
Oh my god,
like
yes.
These were objectively bad movies, but they were so good.
Yeah.
Like, what is the best good bad movie out there?
The Pacifier.
Like, made for television. Oh god, that's a good one.
I have seen The Pacifier more than I have seen any other movie in my life, because one time I was sick with strep. I had like a above 100 fever, and all I did was watch The Pacifier on repeat for like 4 days. I've seen it over 20 times, and I would watch it again right now. It's a fun little romp.
Good bad movie. Like, I was gonna say, what is the one where like her dad is like English and she's like American, and
yes!
He has to go. What's that called? It's with Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Anyone in the chat, if you remember the name, please remind me. And like, she dates that like kind of hot British boy.
Yeah. Honestly, any Amanda Bynes movie really falls in that category.
Any Amanda Bynes movie does fall into like Amanda Bynes and Lindsay Lohan, a good bad movie.
What a Girl Wants. Yes.
Thank you so much, Universal Love.
Thanks. Oh, also, speaking of Lindsay Lohan, the amount of cringe and love I have. Okay. The thing is...
Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
Confession of a Teenage Drama Queen. Confession of a Teenage... Yes! We are in sync. Because just like the drip, the aesthetic of that movie, iconic.
Drip.
The outfits, iconic. The settings, iconic. Everything. Changes? Every time I hear Changes by David Bowie, I think of that movie. Because that is the cultural impact it had. Was it cringe parts? Yes. That part, anytime in a movie where someone's lying and then they get found out in the lie, every time I watch that to this day, I'm the kind of person who does that thing where I'm like, oh, now's the time to go get something from the fridge. I want to snack, because I cannot physically be in the same room when that is happening. But oh my god, I love. It's so good. And it's like, that's the problem. And not to be an old man yelling at people to get off my lawn about this, but this is less of a critique of current society and more of a critique of what movies are allowed to get made and which movies are like, and what stories we tell, is that there has not been a single movie that has come out recently that has been campy and fun and has captured the cultural zeitgeist of the past like 5 or 10 years as that did for its time period. And there just aren't as many, because you get movies like He's All That where it's like, this is so artificially produced. Well. Yeah. It's just like, you watch things now, it's like, this is either like a really heartwarming, like, like 8th grade or like, really like a thing, but it's not, it's not iconic. I'm just thinking about the outfits. I'm just thinking about the early 2000s were wrong for a lot.
Not What a Girl Wants. She's All That. It sort of aged like milk.
Yeah.
And then they made He's All That, which is like one of those like jelly beans that are supposed to taste like spoiled milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the best way I could explain it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Now I'm just thinking about a remake of 10 Things I Hate About You and how that would work.
It would be like a jelly bean that's supposed to taste like spoiled milk.
Yeah. We need new stories, not remakes. Although I do feel like there are some like content creators who are like teenagers who, if you just gave them a bunch of iPhones and told them to remake the movie, it would be perfect. Like, it wouldn't be good, it would be camp, but it would be fun.
It would be fun. I'd love that so much for us.
Okay. We need to make
I'd love that for us.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. But we want to thank you for listening to us go on this like 2-hour rant about just various things, half of which are not even on the list of things that we were supposed to talk about. But thanks for tuning in for like the whole time. Thank you so much. We hope to see you back next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. for another TV tournament featuring our good friend Bobby, our friend that knows just a little bit too much about pop culture. And we'll also be back here again next week, Saturday, for another weekly roundup.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.